I'm gonna do it now.
All right.
I pretty much forgot to push record for the 261 recap. I had a pretty great guest on from he has his own YouTube channel. We
Wow.
did a whole recap, and right at the end, I was like, "Oh shit!" I didn't want to admit it to him, but I was like, "Damn it, man!"
That
I
hurts.
thought about it, and I was like, I never pushed record, did I?" And there was no way to get it back. But
Oh,
luckily, our boy Mitch, real quick picks someone who's kind of a regular now. I could see you being kind of a regular too,
hmm
if you want.
yeah, yeah.
But he came in. I put the bet signal out. I had to. You got to do the recap soon because you do the recap on Wednesday, and
It's
then
too late.
too late because we're already looking at the next event. So
Yeah, you got to either do it that very next day, if ideally, or by
yeah,
Monday.
Sunday, Monday,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. At least have it done Sunday and dropping Monday.
yeah. I want to get you on some recaps and probably do some more picks with him because he has his YouTube show where he's already doing the picks. So he's
Okay.
like in that motion, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll interchange it in and out.
Yeah.
What I
Sounds good.
really want to do is get fighters on here, but not to interview them. I want to get fighters that follow the sport and get their take on like a recap on what went down in a fight. Like I
That's
think
cool.
that would because everyone wants to just interview fighters about their career and
Yeah,
they can just come on and talk fights. You know, I think that would be cool.
that would be cool.
Kind of a different
Do
angle.
you do you interact at all with Eve Edwards on Twitter?
No, but I think
He he's a he might be one of those guys that you can get on. He constantly on Twitter, he kind of puts it out. He likes talking old fights and things like that with the people, the fans anyway. So that's the lead I have on that.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I wanted to get warmed up. I'm like 11. This is 11 episodes now, so I kind of got a good groove going. I didn't want to get a fighter on. I'm still trying to figure out like stuff. You
yeah.
know, it would be weird, but
That I feel that would be
so
awkward.
I'm kind of just getting the groove going now, and I think I'm ready.
All right, that's
I've
tight.
interviewed fighters. I interviewed Ken Shamrock on an old podcast. I interviewed Felony Charles Bennett. You know,
Okay, Crazy Horse.
Crazy Horse. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's out there. Yeah, for a different show that I was doing. But
that's
all
cool.
right,
My
I'm gonna.
my fun. Oh, sorry to cut you off, but Ken Shamrock and my uncle went to high school together and used
Oh
to do
no way!
drugs together. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
What kind of drugs?
The 80s, 90s.
Not
Before it was all before Ken was really into the fighting, but I think he's from
wow.
Rockford or something like that, or in that area out here up in the area. So just small world shit.
Okay. We're gonna. There's a lot of news.
There is.
So, did you hear Yoel Romero's out too?
I just read the article after you sent it to me,
That's
and that one is
that's huge.
that's too bad. I had saw a tweet too right afterwards where it was like Yoel Romero's, getting pulled. Now Anthony Johnson's going to fight somebody, look completely old and washed, and all the magic's going to be gone from that fight because of it. Like it was a completely the worst case scenario.
Or he fights someone that beats him.
Exactly. I mean, it's like
Either way, it's no
that's why
good.
they. No, I mean that was the reason why they made the fight so early in this process was because Scott Coker wanted that. He wanted that fight to happen. Like he wanted to
Yeah.
happen.
Okay. Let's save it. Let's save
All
it.
right.
We don't want to.
No, I know. Yeah.
It sounds dumb saying it twice, even though we're gonna say, oh, I'll just say that later. It sounds dumb, and trust me, I had to do
You
that
can.
whole episode twice, and my energy was just gone. But I had to
You
like
can't.
do it. I had to say the same things over like that I just did.
Well, it was like the one we did when I kind of went on my Rose rant the very first time. Then when
Yeah.
I went to revisit, I said it. I already said it. All like you said, the energy's gone. So no, you're right. Yeah, I gotta learn to pump my
Okay.
brakes a little bit.
Let's. All right. I'll just do this intro and we'll get going. And think of someone that you want to give a shout out to at the end too.
For sure.
Oh, these mosquitoes are back already. All right.
Let's try and get this done then, because I know your pain right there. I had to go invest in a fuck ton of citronella little lamps and candles just for my little porch area. It's right over a lake. It's the worst right now.
Can you hear that or no?
Yeah, I heard a little bit of it.
Okay. All right. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Nuts and Bolts MMA, where you get the nuts and bolts of what's going on inside of the world of MMA. I am your host, Travis Montgomery. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 11th. For the 11th episode, I should say. Me, myself, am doing great. I went on a jog today, and I was at a park. And can I just say one thing? Can we turn on the drinking fountains again? You know, they've been off long enough, and I don't want to get too political. And even though a pandemic, talking about the effectiveness of a virus during a pandemic is getting political, I guess. But no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say, can we turn the drinking fountains on? There's no outside transmission. The drinking fountains are in UV light, which kills the virus. On contact, I was just running there, and I thought I was going to get water again. I got tricked again. It's happened numerous times. But anyways, I'm doing great. I get my son this weekend, and we're going to have fun. Today, we have Stoned Sensei Rob here. We're going to get through a lot of this news that's happened this week, a crazy amount of news, and we're going to preview UFC Vegas 25, which goes down this weekend. Stoned Sensei Rob, how are you doing? Welcome back to the show, and anything new with you?
You know what? Just a few things, but it's great to be back. Great to it feels good to be back. But no, I'm honestly, dude, I'm just living my life one day at a time, trying to stay healthy. I am getting more back into the physical fitness thing again. I think the last time I was talking about my back and things like that, and I sounded kind of like a broke down little bitch.
Oh,
and
okay.
we're kind of getting over that. I started this week with the light mobility routine, just getting my body loosened up, stop being so stiff, a lot of stretching involved. And then next week we'll kind of take it up one notch and just slowly but surely hopefully get back to the point where I can go running again. But I tell you, I hate that feeling. In Stockton, for example, before the pandemic even, you'd be running and you come to a park and you think, oh, great, water fountains, because I never take water when I run. I'm not one of those kind of people, really. I'm an idiot, that's why. But you get to the park and you get to that goddamn drinking fountain, and you would know too. Like for me, it's like you're 20 feet away and you know it's broken or you know it's off because it's dry. There's spider webs.
Yeah.
You just know.
But you don't know. You have to push it. You don't know until you push it if it's going to work or not.
And then you have to go over there and disappoint yourself, even though you know. And it's like, that's not going to work. Boop, boop. Yep, didn't work. Now I got to go be thirsty some more.
That's not cool. What are we doing? We're making silly rules that for one thing, if you're dehydrated, your immune system is weaker and you're more likely to get sick if you're dehydrated. So
yeah, I think hydration, especially in the warmer months, as it gets hotter and things like that, like it is so important. I remember last summer, during the summer of protests in California and throughout the nation, right? I was going out and handing out water to people, be it protesters, first responders, whatever. I would go out and just pass out water. That's all I would do. But when the protests started dying down, this is all in Sacramento at Cesar Chavez Plaza. And when they started dying down, this plaza is really where all the homeless people in that area sleep at and live at, And I swear, like going from just handing out water to the regular people to then seeing the people who actually lived in the park, getting to know a few of them. I ended up starting after the protests died down, going out there still when the summer was hitting, just dropping water off, every few days that go by, drop off like 4 or 5 cases for them.
Yeah, that's good. It's important.
I tell you right now, dehydration is probably the worst thing that you could put your body through, and people constantly put their bodies through it,
especially during a pandemic. But with that out of the way, let's get to some news.
Mm-hmm.
News drop. All right. Corey Sandhagen versus TJ Dillashaw has been postponed. TJ Dillashaw gets a cut over his eye while training. And now we're going to have to wait. I'm so disappointed. I'm looking forward to this. Is like one of the fights that is kind of like kicking off the summer. We've got a new heavyweight champion stomping around. We've got a new lightweight title about to be crowned. This was like one of those ones where I was thinking about summer and I'm like, yeah, bitch, this is great. But I don't know. What do you think?
I think the MMA gods are reaping their sacrifices for UFC 261. Like, you don't get an event that great without having a sacrifice up and down the road, and they're reaping their shit. I think it's ultimately it's just unfortunate. I don't think TJ really had a choice. I mean, I saw the cut; it was pretty nasty, and 10 days out, it might close up enough to where you put your stitches in there, you let it fill up, you let it close over 10 days. It's not going to be bleeding, but within a couple punches, it's going to be ugly again, and it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
You have some experience in this area, don't you?
Yeah, it was.
What happened? What happened with your situation?
So the week before my first and only Muay Thai fight ever, we're doing the last day of hard sparring, and it's a round robin. I'm standing in the middle, and every round I get a new guy, and it comes back around to my buddy Pati, and Pati and I we're going hard, but not too hard, and he's a good sparring partner for this. Like, he's real controlled and things like that. And we're going. And before this even started, my trainer, my crew, he's like, Robert, put headgear on. Make sure you have headgear on. And I'm like, I don't want to wear headgear, crew. I can't do it. It cuts my peripherals off. I don't like it. And I gave him all these reasons. And he kind of was just like, all right, your fucking funeral, go ahead. And sure enough, we're in a clinch, and I throw a knee, and he sweeps me. And as I'm getting swept, I drag him with me, and we smack heads. And he busted me open right up in here, right there. And at the time, it's like, oh shit, I'm bleeding, top of the head, no big deal. I get in my car, go home afterwards. And as soon as I get home, I just start getting real chilly, like real cold. And I didn't understand why at first. I was like, why am I getting chilly like this? And then, I go up, try to look at it because I was trying to super glue it. And I couldn't see the cut, so I tried to buzz a little patch there. And every time I stood up, give me about 2-3 minutes from standing up, I get super lightheaded, real sick feeling, that chills would come over my body. And
did you bleed a lot?
Yeah. Oh, not a lot. I mean, the head wounds are always going to bleed.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
There's a lot of blood vessels up there.
A lot of them. And, but it wasn't excessive. It wasn't one of those ones that had me worrying, because if it was really bloody, I probably would have went to the hospital. But I was like, no, it's okay. I can do it myself. But it took like 30 minutes just to get the little buzz in there and then get the super glue on it, because I had to keep sitting down and letting my body like catch up to itself. And it was a mess. And then the next day I decided, fuck it, I should go to Kaiser, whatever. And then I get there and the doctor's like, well, you did a pretty good job gluing it. I can't really put stitches in it now. Here's a bill. You never should have came by. You're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But it just ruined your head. Exactly. But it just ultimately stuff like that close to the fight, it just throws off the entire training camp.
So they didn't notice it? Did you end up fighting, or did they notice it?
No, I ended up fighting. I was able to go get a haircut, and then it was just high enough where
How'd the fight go?
not good. No, not good. I forgot how to punch. Like there's this weird. It's so my brother, his name's Kevin. He's fought a lot more than I have, and he had this was my first fight out of all the 15 fights I was supposed to have before this, because I have bad histories with injuries in general. I call it Derrick Rose syndrome.
Yeah.
And so finally we get to all the way to the finish line. It's like, all right, we got it. We're here. And boom, it happens. I bust my head. I don't feel like training because of the lightheadedness, things like that. And he had a plan basically to get me out of the jitter zone, get me comfortable walking to the ring, doing the wide crew around the corners, doing the whole thing so that I can, when it came time to go actually make the walk, be used to it, be comfortable, kind of visualize what was going to happen. We didn't get to do none of that. And I didn't think, because he had told me about it, I didn't think it was going to be a big deal. It's like, whatever, just no big deal. Fuck if that wasn't a big deal, because as soon as I walked out them curtains and saw that Fresno event center just filled up with people, and I'm like, fuck, it's a lot of folk right there. And it
all right. Well,
yeah.
There is no word yet on the rescheduling of this fight, but now Marina Rodriguez versus Michelle Watterson is the main event. They're not even going to try and throw us another bone. You know what? I was thinking outside the box, and I was thinking Yair Rodriguez is looking for a fight right now, and Corey Sandhagen is right there. Why not just it would mess up rankings for either one of them if somebody lost. But that would be such a crazy fight though. Yeah, you're right.
I think it'd be a barn burner the way those two strike, but like you hit the head on the nail when it comes to rankings. I think I hate rankings. I think I talked about it last time, but with the rankings, you get a whole lot more hesitancy with fighters willing to take fights because of a number attached to their name. Like Corey Sandhagen, he's up in the rankings. Yair's down in the rankings, but stylistically, these two are very evenly matched considering the way they fight.
Well, they're different weight classes too. Don't forget that. So that would be.
Oh, fucking, you're right. Sandhagen's 135 yards.
Yeah, but that's why it's kind of like a dream fight. But Yair's out here making all kinds of noise, saying that he wants to fight right now. I'm sure
he does.
Corey Sandhagen is ready to go. That dude is for real. He's serious.
Yeah. You know who I was thinking of to save the event in the same kind of Hail Mary kind of way is what if they offer Nick Diaz, Donald Cerrone at 170?
Well, that would be great, but I don't think Nick Diaz is going to just take a fight like that. Quick.
The person I talked to this about, they posed the idea and I liked it. I think we're going to get on this topic a little more anyway later on, but I think it would be the smart thing to do for the most publicity.
Oh yeah, let's move on for now. Diego Sanchez versus Cowboy is off, and that guy, what's his name, Fabia, is out of his mind. He's off his rocker, I guess. Cowboys, they're looking for a replacement. See, this is fucked up because Cowboys going to take whoever they put in front of them, and they'll put a killer.
Yeah,
and Cowboys going to take the fight. I like this fight for both guys until now they're not fighting each other, and I don't want to see either one of them get really, somebody.
I'm really hoping. I mean, I think they're saying they're looking for an opponent for Cowboy, just to save face. But I really hope they kind of just pull his fight for the reasons that you offered. I mean, I don't really want to see him get thrown to a young lion or a young wolf. You know what I mean? I like this fight just because old ass Diego, old ass Donnie getting ready, go throw down. And it made sense. Both of them, are on the way out. It's a good fight for that. But just pull the fight. It's sad. It's unfortunate. I blame Joshua Fabia and Diego Sanchez for allowing that man to sink his claws into him the way he has. I'm just.
Is
I think
that
we're talking.
is that what
What was that?
happened? Is that what happened? Was it Fabia that had caused him to pull out, or what?
I think the incident with that rules meeting or the fighters meeting in that video that he posted
Yeah.
had something to do with it. Because they haven't. If it was an injury, typically, you know, a fighter gets hurt, they'll say at least it was an injury. They won't say what the injury was, but they'll say an injury occurred, or they'll give you the bare minimum of what happened. And the fact that they're just saying that Diego's pulled from the fight, and then on his Instagram story, he was like free at last, and he tagged one Bellator bare knuckle fighting championship and another promotion of some sort or whatever, you know. So which implies in my eyes like he got cut,
Yeah.
or they separated or whatever it was. But I ultimately think it was Fabio's fault. I mean, even if this one incident necessarily wasn't his fault, the lead up to this incident is all on him. You know, he took over Diego's career a few years ago, and we watched Diego turn into what he's turned into. I love the man. I respect everything he's done, but shit, it's embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, there's few people that are as tough and dedicated as that man is right there.
Yeah. I mean,
I have the video here. Can you hear it?
barely.
Here's Fabia, his manager, coach.
That guy, he is something else. I'm telling you.
People are looking at him like, what?
And then Diego's standing there. The way he stands there, this whole process just makes me feel awkward for him. Like,
This video will be up on the social medias.
Yeah, that's a weird. They have a weird. I don't want to speculate, but it's weird in the way that Fabia like kind of just stood up out of just nowhere to defend him. You get what I'm saying? Like how like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to say it, but I think my insinuation is strong right there.
Like the fighter should be the tough guy standing up for himself, not his manager.
Yeah, I get. Well, that's what managers are for, right? I mean, fighters typically. I mean, some are really good at managing themselves and speaking up for themselves in business, but some aren't. And that's what the job of a manager is, to do the talking. But it's just his style of arguing was, you know, not set from a rational point of view, but like from the point of view of like, hey, you're attacking my partner, I got to defend him now. And I don't want to say any more than that because everything else after that is just speculation. But
they might be super duper close.
They might be the bestest friends in the whole wide world.
They might get each other in rear naked chokes on purpose.
Who knows, right? Triangle chokes aplenty with those guys.
All right, well, let's move on. That whole situation's a mess. It really is. It sucks for Cowboy. Real quick, UFC Endeavor goes public at $24 a share. They just so UFC can be traded in the stock market for the first time ever. It's a big deal for a company's history. I guess you would say the timeline.
I think it's huge.
And you know where they've come from it. And you know, you got any thoughts on this?
I have a lot of thoughts on this. I don't know if you know, but I'm pretty active in watching the market.
Okay.
Got to say this: I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not a financial advice. But I look at anything like this, like as anybody should. It's like it's new, so be very wary and cautious. Like it's a brand new thing. There's no such thing, you know. Don't need to have FOMO. You know, it's going to be there, you know, whatnot. But what I like about it the most is I think this is the first sporting promotion which you can buy shares in. I don't think the NFL is a publicly traded company. The MLB, NBA, none of those are publicly traded. You know, Major League Soccer, those are all private. you have private owners for their teams, and they put a team up there, and they have fans, sure, and season ticket holders, sure, but they don't have anybody who to answer to up to themselves. I mean, in theory, the fans, but ultimately you have teams out there who don't give a shit about their fans and do what they just do. Whereas this, I mean, in the last 3 months, I've learned the power of the retail consumer, and it is almost, it's nerve-wracking when you put your business in the hands of the retail consumer, like they are right now, essentially, because depending on how the retail consumer views Endeavor as a company, their stock price can plummet to absolutely nothing, making them worthless essentially in a lot of ways. Or the retail investor can love them and just dump capital into them by buying stocks, and just, wanting to own a share of part of the UFC, so to speak, which is most likely, which is my thought process, going to happen. I think you're gonna have a lot of people who, like us, who just, I want to own a UFC. Let me buy 2 shares. It's only $24 a share, I think, right now, roughly $25 a share.
Yeah. I think it went up to 25.
So, see, yeah, and the thing with any stock, you don't buy it with the intention to sell it the next day.
No.
You buy it because you believe in it. You buy it because I think you're going to go somewhere someday. And someday we're going to be, swimming. But until then, we're just holding. And a play like Endeavor, that's a good long-term play, I think. They're not losing any money. The UFC is not going to go anywhere. They have their contract signed with ESPN, with Venom, with all these, distributors for their content.
All right.
I mean, they're
spending all my money on buying Endeavor stock. Thank you.
Endeavor and AMC. No, not a financial advice though.
Well, that's me. I'm giving the advice.
There you go.
I'm just kidding. No, you can't get in trouble for that.
What you
spend all your money on Endeavor stock, you dumb. I'm just kidding. No, don't do that.
What's crazy is on a little side note, you can get in trouble for that if you're not a licensed financial advisor.
Yeah, people always say that disclaimer: I'm not a financial advisor,
and that's the way out.
You know why? It's because somebody dumb has sued over that kind of bullshit before.
Exactly.
But let's keep it moving. Sticking to the business side of things, John Jones and First Round Management have cut ties. That's kind of huge. There was the Dana White coming out at the press conference saying that he wanted 30 million. John Jones never said, or he came out on Twitter and said that I never said 30 million. I guess the real number that they're debating is 15 right now.
Yeah.
His management team couldn't get it done. I don't know. This is like all public information, kind of. It's not supposed to be, but it kind of is.
Yeah, I felt like it got nasty once it went public the way it has. And in regards to John and his management team, I was actually looking at those series of tweets before I hopped on here. And when it comes to contracts and the negotiations, right? Say I'm speaking for you, and you want 15 million for a fight, and I go to Dana and say, Dana, he wants 30 million. And Dana's like, fuck that, you kick rocks. And I got to go to John, or, maybe I don't. And I go to John and I tell him the meeting didn't go well, and yada, yada, yada. We'll get it figured out. Well, then Dana goes in this press conference talking about $30 million. And John's sitting here like, oh, what the fuck? Who talked about $30 million? Sends his tweet out. He's probably messaging his guys at the same time. And then, because this only plays out a few ways. His management team went to Dana and said 30 million without John knowing they're going to say 30 million. And then John looks like an idiot when Dana says this at a press conference. So John's only option at that point is to part ways.
Yeah.
Because you can't have a management team that does that to you. Just can't do it. The other option is that John wanted 30 million and they tried to get it. And Dana's like, fuck that. And John was embarrassed, same thing. And was like, I got to save face here. We're just going to part ways. Not going to say why, but and that's that. I don't think you part ways with a management group that you've worked well with for 11 years unless something happens to where it's no longer workable.
Yeah, and it wasn't amicable. They were like, "Oh, it was a cordial." Yeah, right. Something happened where
Yeah,
one party got pissed off and said, "Screw you, I don't need you." And
because the third option here, and I got this actually from Chael Sonnen, so I'm stealing from him, but the third option that he surmised was that John Jones is hurting the management company because other clients are seeing what they can't do for him.
yeah.
And they're going, well, shit, you guys can't even get John what he wants. Why would I come to you? And he's the greatest X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, Ali, you know, he whatever he is, he's getting his guys what they want. So it makes them look bad too.
Yeah, because they can't get the deal done.
They can't get the deal done. So it's probably honestly somewhere in the middle of all those three. Who knows?
Yeah.
Only they do, but it's just it was just bound to happen.
Well, you know what? This could turn into a good thing. Now we could get, I don't know, maybe we can get the fight that we want.
Yeah.
Maybe he can get it done now. If he goes with Ali or he starts, doing his own bargaining or his own whatever, get the deal done. We want to see John Jones get paid. We want to see that fight. I don't know. I've gone over on it on a different episode in length why I don't think that the UFC wants that fight. They could give John they could give John 15 million and still make a profit on that fight.
For sure. They absolutely could. And I think you're kind of right when you say like they don't want that fight. Because if they put that fight right then and now, then the gravy chain ends. They want Francis to reign for as long as he can reign for.
Yep.
You know, that's Francis' storyline is lovable. You can't not, like the guy. I mean, he's a great champ. All the things are positive for him. And they want that to continue. Whereas John, I mean, for all his greatness, he is a fucking diva. And granted, he's earned that right to be a diva, but it makes working with him unpleasant, I imagine, if you're Dana or if you're any of those guys. So giving him that power of a belt again over that division is something probably the last thing they want to do. But they're only getting farther and farther into a corner, because it's, they're either going to succumb to whatever he wants. He's either going to bow to what they want, or they're going to not fucking agree at all, and it's never going to happen, and then he's never going to fight again until years down the line when he needs money. So
very true. Very true. Okay, let's move on now to some crazy. We have an injury bug. We have a fight falling out bug. Yoel Romero does not pass his medical exams, and now he's out of his fight with Anthony Johnson. That was like the biggest fight that Anthony Johnson's coming out of retirement. Yoel Romero is making his exit from the UFC. These two things were going to collide at one time, and now they are searching for a replacement, which is probably going to be Julius Angelicus. He is at 10-1. I guess his story would be similar to Dan Cormier when he hopped into the Strikeforce tournament as an alternate and won the whole thing. He's from Lithuania. I guess he's pretty good. And this is when you have a tournament, the tournament's got to go. They can't postpone this thing. And who knows what's wrong with Yoel Romero? He's 67 years old. So what your reaction to this stuff that just came down within the last hour?
So my initial reaction was, what injury did he have that he didn't know he had? Because I feel like Yoel's the kind of person that'll hurt himself and think that the hurt isn't that big of a hurt, and then find out it's a torn ACL or something.
True.
Like he's just one of those kind of freak athletes. So I'm curious to know what it is they got caught.
You know what my first thought was, I don't know why, it was like his heart or like an organ. I wasn't thinking injury for some reason, like they took his blood or I kind of dehydrated or something like that. I don't know.
I had those thoughts too, or I have those thoughts, but it all depends on, see, it's 205, not 85, so the weight cut shouldn't be as bad for him. And you'll see organ failure issues or issues with organs when it comes to weight cuts. Like Khabib had an issue.
Hold up, dude. He looked thick in his recent photos.
Thick. Yeah, I saw that. And by the way, that Bellator cameraman, fire that motherfucker, because he made them all look 20 years older. Like, what camera are you, bro, using an iPhone? What is this?
Yeah, he's bending down, picking up a newspaper, and that's the picture they show.
No, they made him look old. But he looked older. He looked definitely thicker in the face.
The angle was not favorable. No, his gut was big, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I wonder if they started cutting weight and
I wonder, because I mean, you would so when they took that picture, if he was anything, 20 pounds out and as dense as he is, it's just not fun. And at his age too, I mean, cutting weight doesn't get easier as you get older. It just gets harder. And much more taxing on the body. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he had an issue with his weight cut that affected his organs in a way, or if he just had an injury that he probably wasn't even aware he had.
So here's so Anthony Johnson's got to fight this dude from Lithuania who's 10-1. I have a sneaky suspicion that if Anthony Johnson is paired up with Brian Bader, he pulls out of that fight somehow. I just got this sneaky suspicion because he doesn't have that fighter's drive. You know what I mean? Like, I'll fight anyone. Like, he does it for the money. He's pretty clear. And I think Ryan Bader would knock his block off right now.
Right now, I think you're right. I think right now Ryan Bader would be a bad fight for him. But at the same time, Yoel Romero wouldn't have been an easy fight. But Yoel's not so grappling heavy. Like, his fight IQ is...
He's not aggressive. He's not... Ryan Bader's super aggressive.
Very forward pressure, very heavy, like, on you. Like, he wants to be in your shit. And you're right. Yoel's slow, calm, but will explode on you out of nowhere. But I think Yoel, like, for example, Yoel's a top-notch wrestler, probably one of the greatest wrestlers to ever come into mixed martial arts. But his wrestling within mixed martial arts is relatively, it's okay. When he needs to take down, he'll get it, but he doesn't go for him. He doesn't utilize his wrestling offensively in mixed martial arts at all.
Wrestling makes you tired, and Yoel Romero does not have a gas tank.
No, he doesn't. So, Anthony Johnson going into that fight, it's like, this is going to be a stand-up fight. Cool beans. Ryan Bader is a lot smarter in terms of fight IQ than Yoel Romero. I think he knows what his weaknesses are. He doesn't want to get knocked out.
Dude, the fight's not happening anymore. I doubt that fight ever happens now. So we just have to lick our wounds and move on at that point.
Sad.
Let's get to some Twitter beef now. Khamzat Chimaev is lighting up Twitter past couple days. He's coming after Nick Diaz, and it's pretty cool. He's got one picture up with Chimaev versus Diaz 2021 welterweight bout. He's got a split angle and he's got a cigarette. He's basically just calling him out. That's not a fight I want to see. Let's go Dana White. He's also calling out Jorge Masvidal. He says, tell Gamebred when he wakes up from Saturday night, I will fight him in August. I'm not sure if he's still sleeping, with a sleeping emoji.
He was such a nice guy when he came on the scene. He was just so cheerful, and I'm just happy to fight. I just want to smash face, but be here. I'm just so happy. And now he's just full on asshole heel. Just like, I love it. I wasn't a fan at first, but I'm liking the guy more and more as he does this, because I wish more fighters would do what he does, which is call for fights. Like, I want to fight you. I want to fight anybody. You know what I mean? Fight. I want to fight. And I love that attitude. I don't like the fight, though, between him and Nick. I do not like that at all. Not because I think I got to take that back.
Nate's already going to get smashed by Leon. I don't want to see Nick get smashed by Khamzat. What the hell?
See, that's the thing. I don't think Nick loses the fight. I think Nick actually wins the fight in a way where it's like, oh shit, like in a very surprising fashion. I don't think
Huh.
his 6 years out of the sport hurt him. I think his 6 years out of the sport probably helped him.
But I
In
just
terms of,
think Khamzat's built different, dude. I don't know. I got a feeling about this guy.
I
got a feeling about this guy.
all I say is, like, again, it's been 6 years, so only time will tell, right? If we ever see it happen, that's the only way we'll ever know. But just going off from the past, right? Like, Nick Diaz he's fought 5 with GSP. He went 5 with Carlos Con. I mean, he's been in there. He went 5 rounds with Anderson Silva his last fight. So, like, it's not like he's tough as shit. He's not going to go in there and just get bullied by Khamzat like Gerald Meerschaert or whatever his name is did. He's not going to get psyched out by the height. And it actually kind of makes sense because you can't just bring Nick Diaz in, despite what I argue on Twitter. You can't just bring him in against a top 10 guy. Simply because fan perspective and the simple shits is you have a bunch of guys in the top 10 who've been fighting and working their way up, and they earned their number. As much as I hate the number, they earned it. And Nick, you can't just come in here and do that because, one, if you come in and you lose, it kills all the hype behind you because now everyone knows you can't compete top 10. Whereas you have Khamzat here who's a name, and you really can't give him ranked guys because he's not ranked himself or anything like that. But he's a name. He's hyped himself up to the point where people want to watch him fight, much like how Conor did in the past, So I remember back in the Conor buildup, they started feeding him guys slowly but surely who had names, but their skills had dropped. Like Dennis Seaver was one of those guys. Who was another one? Chad Mendez before it. I'm getting this. But you have a name with Khamzat, you have a name with Nick Diaz. Neither are ranked. And if you want to see if Nick still has it, you put him up against a guy who's coming up, who's so like if Khamzat loses, his story's not over, right? Like if he loses, he's young as shit, and there's plenty of time to groom him into being into the next Habib or whatever, right? If he loses. Whereas if Nick loses, your ship sailed.
Yeah, well, Nick's been talking some crazy shit the last couple of years. He doesn't sound like I mean, he's always been kind of spacey, but I don't know, he seems troubled, I guess I would say. He seems emotionally troubled. And the interview that he gave with Ariel, I don't want to spend too much more time on this because we got the whole 5 fights to break down right now.
I do want to say one thing though on that, just real quick, is that as spacey as he sounds sometimes, a lot of that has to do with he has a real life speech impediment. And a lot of the time it boils down to that. And then when he's like a lot of these sound bites you catch him in, like with TMZ and stuff, he is out partying and stuff. So none of that helps his speech impediment either in any way. So he always sounds, especially lately, groggy, slow, and a little spacey. But there's this one interview I'll send it to you on Twitter and I'll let you listen to it. He's a lot more collected.
Well, yeah, I listened to that whole Ariel interview. I think it was about a year ago.
Yeah, this is an older one than that. This is a few years before.
The impediment, I can get that. But let's get to breakdown UFC Vegas 25. No sound drop for this yet, but I'll make one. I'll make a cool one for all the previews that we're gonna do coming up. All right, so UFC Vegas 25 will be taking place at the Apex Arena. We've got the small octagon. I don't think that they are letting anyone in there. But this time we'll start at the top of the card. Oh, as a betting recap, let's see. I already did that on the last show. I'm around -3 units for the picks that I've given out on the podcast. I've done a lot better. If you follow me at Nuts MMA on Twitter, I give out picks right before the event starts, all the final picks. But I'm only going to go by what I say on this podcast because that is the ethical thing to do. In my opinion, we have Dominic Reyes versus Yuri Petraeus. I want to say Petraeus, but I'm just going to call him.
I'm not even going to try, but that fight is going to be fun.
Insane, right?
Insane. I like
I
it.
have this crazy stat I want to tell you, but first I want to hear what you have to say about this fight.
I think it's going to be interesting watching Dominic Reyes come back from the Jan fight. I think I just got done watching Yuri versus Ozdemir, and watching Yuri, the way he moves, it reminds me of a lot of young John Jones, all over the place, real flowy, just maybe not as theatrical as far as John Jones is, but it's just, and he's so long, his reach and everything, the way he moves is just so just awkward, but beautiful at the same time. And it'd be really interesting to see how that contrasts with Dominic Reyes' approach, which is a lot more technical, a lot more straightforward, coming from a southpaw position. He did well with John Jones and dealing with his reach advantage in that fight. I just think it'd be really interesting to see. Is it going to be the wild unorthodoxness of Yuri that wins, or is it going to be the straightforward technical approach of Dominic Reyes, coming out?
Yeah. Well, from the Sure Dog standpoint, we've got Yuri Petraeus at 27-3, Dominic Reyes 12-2. Yuri is a slight favorite, around -150 in the -130 range. It's interesting to see how Dominic Reyes is going to look after losing 2 in a row. Now, here's a crazy stat that I've got for you. I went and did this myself because I have this theory that people that fight John Jones, their careers tend to go down after that. So in the last 5 years, if you take the people that have fought John Jones and then added up the wins and losses of their career to present day, they have 12 wins and 16 losses. Now, these are top of the food chain fighters. They're 12 and 16. And for whatever reason, after people fight John Jones, they seem to fall off a little bit, and that's for a number of reasons. Not only is the fight probably hard against him, and you can take some miles off your career that way, but also once you climb the top of the mountain and challenge for a belt, it's really hard for a fighter to get back on that horse and do it again. Shout out to Glover Teixeira, who's about to do that.
Absolutely.
So you've got Yuri Petraeus, who's only lost to King Mo, and he's been finishing everyone in the first round. It's like, this is going to be a wild fight. If Dominic Reyes, look, if he loses this one, his dream of a title, it's good. He's just far away from that title island. His ship's going to be lost at sea somewhere until he finds his way back. Because this Yuri guy is coming. He's a former champ of one. He's putting everyone on their butt. It's going to be wild for as long as it lasts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be taking Yuri for a unit because I've got my theory that I'm going on here. I got some rules and I've got some theories. I'm going with my just fought John Jones theory, and I'm taking. They're both. I mean, I want to say not the younger fighter, but he hasn't fought John Jones yet, so he's still young.
Yeah.
As you know, as far as that's concerned, because everyone at light heavyweight has. So I'm going to be taking Yuri for a unit.
A part of me leans towards Yuri. A real strong part of me is leaning towards him. I just love the way he moves. I mean, his movement. I'm a movement whore. If you move like him or anything like that, oh shit! Oh, excuse me.
That's okay.
No, I had a. It was, but no, but sorry about that. But anyways, aside from all that, that's my feeling. But my brain's telling me that Dominic Reyes has figured something out.
Okay. Yeah.
And I only base that. Only reason I say that is because when you have people who come in from athletics outside of fighting, they bring in certain mentalities with them typically. And you see this a lot with football players. Like my brother Kevin, he played high level football all the way up to college and stuff. And when he came into fighting, after, I've already been doing it for a few years. He came into it with this football mindset where there was a problem, whatever it was, he would drill that problem. He'd watch film. He was just on the shit. And he got to the point where his technical acumen was just, he was able to absorb this technical acumen so well, like it translated into his performances. And I think that Dominic Reyes coming from that background that he has with athletics, you know, being used to grinding in a certain way to reach a certain point, you know, having to look at flaws and flaws essentially.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but dude, the second round of the Yan fight, he looked like he didn't want to be in there anymore.
No, and that I think goes to your point
That's
about
something
just coming out
different.
of the John Jones fight. Like to your point, like you go in a 5-round fight with like a guy like John Jones, and that fight with him and Dominic Reyes, you know, arguably Dominic Reyes won the fight depending on how you score it, right? I
Yeah.
don't score it that way, but you know, that like the mentality, like the mindset, like everything psychologically, I feel like it wears on you in a fight like that, a decision like that, then having the guy run out the division the way, or you know, that all that. I think a lot of that can fog the mind in a way that takes you out of the present that you're trying to be in, you know.
Truth.
And I think enough time has passed between those two losses to now, you know, where I think, and this is just off nothing, just off my stomach, but I think he might have came out of it better.
Okay. Well, we'll find out. The light heavyweight needs some new blood. So one of these guys, I hope they make a statement because we're
I want to point out real quick that ever since John Jones left light heavyweight, we have been paying a lot more attention to this division because it has gotten a lot more exciting.
Yeah, but we need some new people there now.
I know what you mean, but like Yuri's one of those new guys. What's the dude from Croatia? Rajic?
Yeah, Rakic. Yeah. Anthony Smith, Thiago Santos, Dominic Reyes, Alexander Rakic's number 2, Glover Teixeira versus Jan. We got to figure that out. I mean, Nikita Krylov, Volkan Ozdemir, and Kalaev should have gotten a finish in his last fight, in my opinion, if you wanted to make something. Jimmy Crute just shattered his leg. You know, Ryan Spann.
Was his leg shattered?
No, I don't know. I'm just talking hyperbolic. But let's just go to the co-main event. Let's get some blood. Giga Chicago versus Cub Swanson. We've got 12-2 versus the chiseled vet 27-11. Giga is -170. Cub is +150. What do you think about this?
It's another tough one. It's another tough one just because Cub is so goddamn wily. I mean, he's he's like the perfect veteran, you know, like he's the perfect test for a lot of these young guys, and he's still so good today. You know, like when he fought Crone, for example, a lot of people wrote him off from that fight because of, you know, Crone was the rising guy, and he absolutely just, you know, he proved us all wrong essentially, and he does that quite a bit. I think, you know, he gets counted out in fights and he shows up more when he's counted out, as opposed to fights where he might win or things like that, or he's expected to win. I like Giga though. I love any high level kickboxer that comes into mixed martial arts, and I don't have enough to say about him. That man's beautiful to watch fight. I just wish he was a 135er because I'd like to see him fight like a Jan or a Sandhagen. You know what I mean? Like I'd like to see one of those too. Those would be fun. But if I had to bet my left nut, I'd pick Giga.
Yeah.
But then again, Cub has a good fight IQ. He's not stupid. His hands are good, and you know his MMA hands are good. His grappling's really good. Who has more tools and the ability to implement them tools at this point for me? I'm gonna say Giga. I have to say Giga.
Yeah.
I like Giga. I like his striking. I like his distance control. You know. But we're gonna see. Cub makes he makes people fight, and he's a dog. So he wins. I wouldn't be surprised either.
Yeah, he's gonna be there. He's nobody's bitch. He's not just gonna roll over.
But if he wins, he's gonna win by a sub.
Yeah, that's most likely. But Giga's shown his ability to stay away from those positions.
He has,
and been able to get back to his feet.
Yeah, no, he has, and it's just if Cub can implement the game plan that he needs to implement, which is getting in there dirty and making it a nasty fight, not keeping, you know, if he tries to play any kind of distance with fucking Giga, he's gonna get picked apart. Like You can't sit on the outside with a guy like that. No matter what you think your hands might be like, you just don't do it, because their ability to manage distance and just sharpshoot from out there is just, you're not going to be able to meet it.
Yeah, and I think Cub is going to try and stand with him because he's got that stubborn kind of, and probably believes that he can stand with him, and he might even have some success. But
ego might play a part into his downfall. I think
But Cub
Yeah.
lost 4 in a row before they got the, I guess you could call him the inexperienced Kron Gracie, and he wasn't looking too good against Daniel Pineda until he got the knockout in the second.
That's true.
So I'm going to be going with Giga Chicago. If you parlay him with Sean Strickland, who, let's just talk about that fight next. It's plus 120. That's going to be for a unit for me. So far, I've got Yuri and Strickland and Giga Chicago. I think Sean Strickland has looked super impressive lately, and Christoph Jocko is one of those guys who's good everywhere. It just doesn't really stand out anything. Minus 270 is Sean Strickland. What do you think about this one?
I had the same feeling. It just seems like, I'll be honest, I don't know enough about the other guy, but Strickland,
He's smooth.
He's smooth. That's the best way to say it. He's smooth. He looks like he's in there to just get shit done. He just has an aura about him. I like, and at that point, I'm just, with that one, just what does the betting line say? And I'd say just run with it.
Yeah, he beat Brandon Allen his last time out in November of last year, and Brandon Allen looked really good last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So by that math, Sean Strickland's gonna win for sure.
I like about him. You know what I like about Strickland too is like the way he talks to people, like just how much he talks in his fights, like that alone. I think just adds another layer, because like, unless you're used to being talked to like that in a fight, it fucks with your head. Like, it really messes with your head having someone talk to you like that. And it's an added weapon essentially. Like, if you can psychologically warfare your opponent, then you should do so. Not everyone knows how to do it, so a lot of people don't do it. But the ones who can, the Chaels, the Connors, the whoever, the Stricklands, it's definitely a weapon, and it's a very effective weapon.
Yeah, they're both kind of having a resurgence in their career, I guess, if you could say. Having lost a couple and then being both on a 3-fight win streak right now, it's going to be probably competitive. But that's my pick. And
and then the way Strickland fights too, like, there's no way unless like he's just completely just putting hands on the other guy. Like, there's going to be shots he's going to eat, I think, and he's going to land shots. It's going to be an ugly fight. I don't think it's going to be pretty.
All right. Next, we have Ion Kutsalaba, 15-6 versus Dustin Jacoby. We have
that one.
Jacoby at plus 120 and Kutsalaba at minus 140. I'm going to be taking Jacoby.
Yeah, I was going to say that's another high level striker right there, man.
Yeah, this fight's going to take place on the feet. Ion has been finished his last 2 fights. He hasn't looked good. He looked like he was waiting to get knocked out versus Ankalaev, and he might be waiting to get knocked out against Dustin Jacoby too, and he's underdog, so I love that.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of Mr. Kutsalaba at all. I don't like his style. I don't like how he approaches anything about anything at all.
Weird.
He's just overly aggressive in a way where it's like, I get it. Like, we get it. You fight. Okay, cool beans. Oh, fuck. Oh, like, how small is your dick, bro? That's
I eat you for breakfast.
Exactly. I don't like that, that kind of energy. But all that aside, when he fought Khalil Roundtree, Roundtree is a really good striker, a real good, let me just walk it back. He's a technical Muay Thai guy. And at the time, it was his goal to be successful in MMA only using Muay Thai. Hasn't been working out well for him, but that was his goal at the time. And anyways, in that fight, Kutsalaba was able to get him to the ground and pound him out. And that's really the only way I see him winning this fight, is getting it to the ground and pounding out Jacoby. And I don't think he has the tools to do that. I think Jacoby's distance control and his movement are going to play a big part here. I am curious to see if he lets kicks off as fluidly as he normally does with the threat of a takedown being there. But then again, you throw them bitches, and if they get you, they get you. But you can't be scared to throw them. You just got to set them up, smarter and just cut your angles when you chuck them out there, so that you're not in a position to get taken down after throwing it. But I like Jacoby. I like high level strikers, and I think right now what you're seeing in MMA is a lot of high level strikers making the transition over and learning some takedown defense and becoming absolute killers, because, like you said, the fight starts on the feet.
Yeah, well, and he fought in Glory. For people that don't know what you're talking about, he fought in Glory, and so did Giga Chicago. I think he was a title holder or something. I love these kickboxers coming over. Like you were just getting to say, that the fights does start on their feet, and the takedown defense these days is high level. You can get that kind of training anywhere.
And you really can. And the thing is, what you're seeing a lot now is, it used to be back in the day, as long as you had to know a little bit of everything, and then you'd be good. You had to know a little bit of everything. And you had the real, the grand cases like George St. Pierre. He was almost like an expert in every facet of the sport. And what I think you're seeing now is more of an emphasis on getting really, really good in one aspect, be it, wrestling or the stand-up, and then just learning enough of the other things to get by. Like Israel Adesanya's stand-up is probably the best stand-up in mixed martial arts, and his takedowns and grappling are just enough to survive. Meaning his takedown defense is really good, but don't ask him to go shoot a double leg. Don't ask him to try and wrestle a takedown, and if he gets taken down, God forbid the person, like Jan can hold him down, because then he's defeated, or then you have a blueprint to defeat him right there. But his striking is so much better than everyone else's. As long as that fight's on the feet, he's not, he's untouchable. Yeah. Same with guys like Khabib. Khabib's grappling was so much better than the next man up, that his striking just had to be good. It didn't have to be technically good. It just had to be effective. When I say good, I just mean effective. Like when he caught Conor with that right hand and dropped him, that wasn't because he's a better striker than Conor. That's just because Conor's not expecting a right hand to come from there the way it did, and he has his hands down because he's technically the better striker, so he can be lazy like that, and that's how guys that get caught.
Yeah. Okay, so I think he's going to want to try and keep it standing. That's going to be a bad decision. On the last fight that we're going to break down is Murab Davashi versus Cody Steeman. I don't like Murab. I'll just come out and say it now. I've been waiting for him to lose. One time he lost me money because I bet him inside the distance, and he didn't go for a finish. He just was like back riding the whole time. So I'm going to go with Cody Steeman. I think he can keep it standing. I hope so, because if Murab takes you down, even if you get back up, you're going back down again. But I think Cody Steeman can keep it standing, and he's got a lot of power on the feet, and hopefully knock this dude out, because Murab's one of the only fighters I don't like, and I hope he loses.
Steeman, he reminds me of a much more diverse striking Sean Shirk, if that makes any sense. Just his entire presence reminds me of a smaller, way more dynamic Sean Shirk, because he's just such a little compact guy, really powerful wrestling, very fast hands, but he throws kicks and they're beautiful. And he throws that front kick, and his teeth, his striking is very diversified, and I really enjoy it. Murab's is very brutal. I mean, his striking is very to the point. It's to close distance, inflict damage, and get to the clinch on the cage so I can take you down, and grapple fuck you. I'm also pulling for Cody on this one. It's going to be, I think it just depends. I mean, how does the grappling work itself out? If it cancels each other out, then I think Cody's going to win, because his striking is just better overall. Yeah. I think he has a better understanding of distance and whatnot. But if, like you said, if Murab gets you down, Cody has the ability to stand back up, but can he stand back up and create separation? cut the corner and escape. Because if he can't, then he's going to get dragged down, stand up, drag down, stand up, drag down, and it's going to be a long night. Because once that happens for a round, it's going to keep happening. I feel like that's how it usually works.
Yep. All right. So let's. I'm going to be taking Cody Steeman. He's a 2-1 underdog right now, so that's plus 200. Dustin Jacoby at plus 120. Yuri at minus 130, and I'm going to be doing a round robin with Giga, Sean Strickland, and Luana Pinheiro, who's fighting Random Marcos. That's a Random Marcos fade.
Okay.
So that's 4 units to get 6.5. I will post it all on Nuts MMA Twitter. That's going to be a lot of bets coming up for this one. It's a fun card. It's a really fun card. There's a lot of close matchups. If there's anything like the last one, then go check out the recap on episode 11 for the last one. But yeah, there's some tight matchups here this weekend. It's going to be great.
No, it's going to be a fun one, and I really can't wait. That the Jacoby fight, the Giga fight, those are going to be, again, high level kickboxers in MMA. Take my money. And
where can people find you on Twitter?
They can find me at Goodbert Sensei. I think it's Goodbert Sensei 209. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Yes,
but
sir.
If not, yeah. So find me on Twitter at Goodbert Sensei, and shoot a shout out to my buddy Iggy at Legacy Muay Thai in Sacramento. If you're in the Sacramento area and want to get some Muay Thai in your life, Legacy Muay Thai. It's a good place to go.
I'm going to give a shout out to Dana White for looking jacked these days. What the hell is he doing?
TRT, that's what he's doing.
Probably. It's probably all the good stuff that you can get behind.
Absolutely.
Not behind the counter, maybe behind a door somewhere where you have to see some people. But anyways, we're out, and everyone else, step your game up.